Hello and welcome back to your South King County real estate update. My name is Sarah Eggleston with Stone Egg Realty at Berkshire Hathaway, and I am back with your local real estate news for South King County. All right, I will go ahead and jump right on into these slides. It is September 24, and I have a class coming up next week. Next week, not next month. I probably will have one next month, but the date is TBD. But next week, September 18th and 19th, I have a down payment assistance and home buyer class. It's virtual. It is 2 days. It gets you the certification for a lot of the down payment assistance programs in Washington state. So this class unlocks the door to those down payment programs and teaches you a whole bunch of other really important things about buying a home that you may want to know. So I highly recommend coming to this class. If you know somebody that may be interested in this class, please share it with them. I would be so appreciative. I do have my summer home buyer and seller guides available, as well as a first-time home buyer's guide. So if you are interested in getting one of these, if you're thinking about buying a home soon or selling a home soon or both, please reach out. I would love to get a copy of this in your hands. And into the news, Seattle area housing market sleepy as buyers hope for rate relief. Home sales did slow down in August from July. We did have a bump up in July in the number of home sales, but we are coming back down in August as we would expect to see this time of year, but perhaps slowed down a little bit quicker from that July number than we otherwise would have expected, because the Federal Reserve has really indicated they're going to do a rate cut in September. So they meet on the 18th, I believe. So just a few days away. And all of the experts are suggesting that there will be a cut there, including the Fed chair. So that is very, very, very likely that they will cut rates. Whether it'll be a 0.25 or a 0.5 rate cut is yet to be seen, but we are expecting a rate cut in just a few days here from the Fed on the Fed's interest rate. Buyers and sellers have adopted a wait and see approach, just seeing what happens in September. But a lot of that speculation of the rate coming down has already been figured into what we are seeing currently in rates. So we'll get to that in just a little bit. Supply does remain limited, so that's keeping prices high. The median single family home sold for $955,000 in King County last month, down from its 1 million peak in May, but up 5% from a year earlier. So first-time homebuyers looking to get into the market are finding some resistance there. Rates are still high-ish, not as high, but the rates are still moderately high, and home prices have not really come down that much. So right now, for a median mid-tier starter home, the average mortgage payment is $4,550 in July. So that's a lot of money. So those interest rates will help bring that number down a little bit, but if that happens, we could potentially see prices rise as well. Fewer buyers are coming into open houses and battling in bidding wars. There's just not as many buyers in the market as we saw a couple years ago. There's just fewer buyers coming out to those open houses right now. It's just showing that there is a little bit lower buyer demand. So if we look at the chart, this is for home price activity. So we did see this peak up here, and then now we're headed back down. This is that $1 million peak in May for home prices coming down in King County. And that is exactly what we'd expect to see this time of year. For home and condo sales compared to 1 year ago, here in the south end, southwest King County and southeast King County, we are seeing more home sales than we did last year. As far as condo sales, southwest King, we're seeing slightly fewer, but southeast King is seeing slightly more. Median home price for homes and condos, both for homes and condos in South King County, we are pretty much flat from a year ago on home prices. For Southwest King, for homes, we are now closing just a little bit higher than we were a year ago, and for condos, a little bit less than we were 1 year ago. The mortgage rates do remain higher than they've been in recent history, averaging about 6% this week, down a percentage point from May. So that is a great trend to see some revitalization in the market, see more buyers out there. But as I said, that may affect prices heading up as we go forward. The lower that rate drops, the stronger that price is going to get. This is from the chief economist at First American. Affordability may be improving in more markets, but potential home buyers have long memories and homes everywhere are significantly less affordable than they were before the pandemic. The Puget Sound region here, we are seeing a shortage of supply still. That's been going on for quite a while. And the number of new homes that have hit the market so far this year is a notable improvement from the same period in 2023, but still well below pre-pandemic times. And for our hyperlocal breakdown, this is for Kent, Renton, Auburn, and Federal Way. New listings coming to the market. Auburn did tick up a little bit, Kent just barely from last month, but Renton and Federal Way have both ticked down from last month, which was exactly what we'd expect to see this time of year. Compared to a year ago, Federal Way had almost 20% fewer homes come to the market than we saw 1 year ago, and Auburn was up almost 18%, Kent up almost 30% on the number of homes that we saw come to the market in August 1 year ago. For pending sales, Renton is still headed up, but the other areas have come down just slightly since last month. If we look compared to a year ago, again, Federal Way down quite significantly on pending sales and Renton up 23%. And median days on market. So this is a sign that Federal Way is definitely slowing down. They're up to 19 days on market and rising, which is 171% of last year. So Federal Way is much slower than it was 1 year ago, but the other areas are not quite as extreme. So this is exactly the trend we'd expect to see this time of year. Heading into the fall, winter times, we see homes sit on the market just a little bit longer. But this also could be a little bit of that wait and see approach that the article mentioned. There may be buyers that are waiting on the sidelines for that Fed rate cut, thinking that it'll make a large improvement in what they have to pay monthly when they buy a home. For median sales price, we've ticked down from last month in all four areas. Kent is down 5.5% from last year. Federal Way is up 5% from last year. Renton up 3%, and Auburn is flat, same place it was 1 year ago. Last time we met, our weekly average mortgage rate was 6.49, and our daily was 6.56. If we look at today's weekly average, so this came out on Thursday, the rate fell to 6.2. That's great news. That's a pretty big drop from last week at 6.35. That is the trend we want to see. A year ago, it was 7.18. So we're on the right trend. Mortgage rates are influenced by several factors, including how the bond market reacts to the Fed's interest rate policy decisions. That can move the trajectory of the 10-year treasury yield, which lenders use as a guide in pricing homes. Signs of waning inflation and cooling job market have raised expectations that the Fed will cut its benchmark interest rate for the first time in 4 years at its meeting of policymakers next week. The yield dropped, which topped 4.7 in late April, has pulled back sharply since then in anticipation of a Fed rate cut. It was at 3.68 in midday trading in the bond market on Thursday. So good news there. And for today's interest rate, we are at 6.14. It's almost flat from yesterday, but there was a little bit of a pop up earlier in the week, and then it has started to come back down again. Next week, we may see a little bit more volatility just because of that Fed meeting and what they do, but heading in the right direction at this point. And if we take a look back, this goes back to March 1st of 2023 when we were heading down, and then our interest rates popped up and peaked in October, then a sharp fall, and we've been kind of bouncing around since then, but since May, we've been heading down on this downward trajectory. Inflation is approaching the target rate. So the target rate is 2% inflation, and we're at 2.6. Back in March of 2022, we were at 5.3. That was the peak. So we've kind of been gradually coming down on that inflation number since that time, almost at the 2% rate mark that we would like to see. Unemployment is still rising, but still below average. So remember, anything that's bad for the economy is good for interest rates. So people that are unemployed, the more unemployed people we have, the lower interest rates will go in general. It's not the only factor, obviously, but it is one of the factors that the Fed uses to judge the strength of the economy. And right now we are still below the average since 1948. But we are headed towards more unemployment, so interest rates are likely to go down if this trend continues. And if we look at those actual mortgage rate projections, taking all of the factors into consideration, these four entities have all suggested that rates will trail down throughout the end of next year. A couple quotes for you. This one's from money.com. Nearly 80% of economists surveyed by the Bloomberg recently predict the Fed will make a quarter-point decrease to a range of 5% to 5.25% in September. So 80% of economists believe that the Fed will make a decrease on their rate. Generally, the rate cutting cycle is not one and done. 6 to 8 rounds of rate cuts all through 2025 look likely, and that's from Lawrence Yun, the chief economist at NAR. National Association of Realtors. So looking forward, we see a projection of highly likely decreased rates headed through all of next year. And just one last reminder, please share this information about the down payment assistance class. This class, I'm working with some clients right now that are using this program to purchase their first home, and the funds that they have left over, they get to use towards renovating the house, making it their own. It's got some cosmetic stuff that needs to be handled. Because of this program, they will have the funds left over to actually do the work on the home that it needs. And that is a really cool thing. This program is designed to turn great renters into homeowners. So if you're having trouble saving up that down payment, would like to own your own home, I urge you, please come to this class. It is free and it's just so informative and may answer a lot of the questions that you have and make homeownership seem like a more attainable goal. So I encourage you to come. And if you would like one of those buyer or seller guides or the first time home buyer guide, please let me know that as well, and I will get one of these over to you. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. My phone number and email address are on the screen there. I would love to have a conversation with you about the real estate market in your area or an area you're interested in. Yeah, just please reach out. Maybe we can have coffee or just a Zoom meeting, whatever fits your schedule best. We'll do that. Thank you so much for joining me for your South King County real estate update for September. I will be back again next month with your update. And until then, have a fantastic month. Enjoy the rest of September and see you next month. Hope to see you at the down payment assistance class next week. All right. Thank you so much. Have a great day.